Hi. In this video, we will learn how to configure a TrueSight Orchestration on-premises connector in BMC Helix Intelligent Automation. As an automation engineer performing day one activities, we first look at the list of available connectors. Then, we configure the connector provided for our automation tool. After the connection is set up, we get access to all automation workflows available as part of the automation tool. These workflows are then added as actions when we create automation policies to remediate issues. To configure the TrueSight Orchestration connector, we will perform the following steps. Ensure that system requirements and other prerequisites are fulfilled before we begin. Create a plugin key and download the creds.json file. Download the remote plugin utility zip file. Create credentials. Provide server-side SSL certificates. Install and run the plugin. And verify the connector status. Find these details in the TrueSight Orchestration connector section, in the BMC Helix Intelligent Automation documentation. These are the minimum steps required to configure any on-premises connector. Based on your organization's needs, you can use a proxy server during configuration, or reuse plugin keys for multiple connectors. In this video, we will only look at the steps needed to get the TrueSight Orchestration connector installed and running. Before we begin, we ensure that the server where the connector will be installed meets the minimum hardware and software requirements. For TrueSight Orchestration, we also need the grid manager URL, administrator's credentials, and the server-side certificate to ensure a secure connection. Now, let's start configuring the connector. First, we'll log on to BMC Helix Intelligent Automation as an automation engineer and create a plugin key. We'll go to Connectors, Plugin Keys, and click Create Plugin Key. Let's go with the default expiry date, which can be changed later, and rename the plugin key for our convenience. Now, this is important, we can't forget to download the plugin key before we click Save. After we download the plugin key, a creds.json file is downloaded, and then we can save. We'll need this plugin key when we create the credentials later. Next, we download the remote plugin utility needed to configure the connector. From available connectors, go to the TrueSight Orchestration connector and click Configure. We click Download Plugin. The Remote REST API plugin.zip file is downloaded. From here, the steps to configure and run the plugin, which runs the connector, are done on a server or a local computer. We need to extract the remote plugin utility zip file to a location that we choose. Then, copy and place the downloaded creds.json file in the config folder. This is the plugin key that's used for the connector. Now, let's go to the command prompt and create credentials. We navigate to the location where we've extracted the remote REST API plugin utility. Then, we'll run the credential.bat create command, with the name of the connector, the host and port where the application is available, and the authentication mechanism used for configuring the connector. For TrueSight Orchestration, we need to use API key as the authentication mechanism. When prompted for a key, we enter $.headers.authentication -token. Next, we enter Y. We type the URL for TrueSight Orchestration Grid Manager application. We'll enter a username and password that has administrative permissions. In this case, we'll go with the default TrueSight Orchestration user, AOAdmin. We add the authentication -token as the authentication parameter. And then we enter the header. The credentials are created successfully. Because we are configuring a connector for an application that runs on HTTPS/SSL protocol, we'll provide the server-side certificate before starting the connector so that it's a secure connection. First, we download the server-side certificate for TrueSight Orchestration and convert it into a .pem format. Then, we copy and place the certificate in the server certs folder in the remote REST API folder. While we can run the plugin as a batch or shell process, BMC recommends that the plugin be run as a service, so that it's easier to manage it. To run as a service, we type the install.bat command. We can verify whether the connector is working successfully by clicking the Configured Connectors tab on the UI. The connector status shows connected. We can now create a policy and use any of the actions supported by TrueSight Orchestration to remediate issues. We can use the same process to configure any on-premises connector in BMC Helix Intelligent Automation. All we need are the credentials for the endpoint application that we want to connect to. For more information, click the links provided in this video's description. Thank you for watching.